Good morning. This webinar is now broadcasting to all attendees. Hi, guys. There we go. I see the participants going up. Yay, how exciting. Good morning, guys. It looks like I'm coming to you from the dead of night. Because it is. Yay. Well, let's see. What can I ask you to put a 1 in the or a 2 in the chat about? Are we excited this morning? Put a 1 in the chat. Yay. You guys are here. I have to say, I don't know how many Madness series I've participated in, but I strongly believe this series has the most energy behind it. You guys are just like on fire, and my timeline is just live videos and people participating in the challenges, and it's beyond exciting to see because I know what's on the other side of this, and it's 100% greatness. And you all are here for it. Good morning, Nicole. Hi, Sherry. Yay, guys. So I am so happy to be here with you today to talk about just some more mindset stuff, because as much as it does take skill to be a good coach, so much more is mindset. I feel like we could teach you the skills like that. We could teach you everything you need to know. But if your mindset isn't right, it's real challenging to grow. And when I became a client 6 years ago for this crazy weight loss thing I was going to try, you couldn't have told me that I was going to grow personally so much. I was already a therapist. How much more could I grow? So, good morning, Denise. All right, guys. Well, what do you say we just jump in? 6:01. Let's do this. So, like I said, good morning, everybody. You know, just like Karen Elstrom started Tuesday with gratitude, I really want to start our conversation off today by just calling in the best energy and intention towards us. So I want you guys to join me in a moment of quiet before we jump in. Hopefully you already have your things you need. I already had my caramel nut maintenance bar. I've had about half a cup of coffee. So, and please, please, please make sure you have a notebook and pen with you, because there's going to be little nuggets that are going to strike you, and it's striking you for a reason. So jot it down. Okay. So I want us all to take a really deep belly breath together and let out everything. And so I'm not going to hear you guys do it. So you got to do it with me. Okay. So just let it all out. That was really more for me. I feel better. All right. So, you know, we thank all of the energy that brought us here today. We are grateful to have space just for a quiet moment, this 1 hour of our day where we're really able to focus on ourselves. And that way we may in turn go help many, many other people. And they are about to have their lives transformed too. So my hope is that you guys hear me today with an open mind, and you're really able to find value and take what you like and leave the chatter that isn't serving you anymore where it belongs, which is in the past. Okay. So, you know, what we focus on, we create. And we talked about that yesterday. You know, the stories that we project on our own internal movie screen up here, it becomes the experience that we really perceive to be true and real, you know, and we spend our days collecting information and images that are going to support the inner movie, and constantly focusing on certain images, filtering others out. But the thing is, when we do this, we're actively choosing the world that we perceive. And the problem is that oftentimes we're choosing negative perceptions. We're not making up happy stories. We are making up negative ones. And so the more attention you pay to certain things, the more you're going to filter out others. So, I was really struck yesterday by what Jamil, when he was reading back the paragraph that he wrote on the movie of his life from the Kim Fisk convention or event at convention. That was my very first convention. And he said specifically, a boy and a girl will be added to my family. And the universe heard that. And why? It wasn't a magic trick. It's because Jamil filtered out the other stuff and he really focused only on what he wanted. So I want you guys to always remember that only us, we're the only ones, we're responsible for what we see. And we can function in a place where we interpret a fight with our partner as another reason to consider a divorce, or, we can see a fight as a powerful opportunity to really learn and grow stronger as a couple. We can perceive a negative health diagnosis with total fear, or we can use it as a chance to slow down and really to truly start embracing every single moment with gratitude. So, no matter how dire your circumstances are, we can totally choose to perceive it with love, or we can choose fear. And our own interpretation really determines our own perception of the reality that we're experiencing. And this is the line that we talk about. So, as I'm saying this, I want you guys to really hear if your mind is kind of creating any kind of pushback or resistance to what I'm saying, because while our individual circumstances may vary, in terms of degrees of hard, there are numerous examples of perseverance through horrible situations that I want you guys to kind of think about. A couple that really stand out to me. One is Eli Wiesel, who, he turned his experience with the Holocaust into a path that made him one of the greatest writers and healers of our time. That's above the line, or Gandhi, he chose peaceful protests in the midst of leading a movement to free the people of India, also above the line. And what these heroes really share is a willingness to perceive their circumstances with love, because fear and below the line thinking would have led them to violence and death, but love really allowed them to rise above the perception of darkness and into the light. And so, really the lesson is this, we are not responsible for what our eyes are seeing. In fact, I think a lot of what our eyes think they're seeing are complete hallucinations. So I'm a big fan of, if we're going to make stuff up, why not make up beliefs that serve us best? We are responsible for how we perceive things and how we're seeing them. And that's a choice when it comes to the line. And so, you don't have to be a world leader to have a radical shift in perspective. Sometimes it can be as simple as choosing to perceive your current full-time job with more gratitude, or, your family with more love, maybe. And a small shift can change you forever, forever, forever. So, since becoming a mentor coach, I hear coaches tell me almost daily, you don't understand. I have a full-time job. It's not allowing me to grow my business in the way I want to. To which I say, wow, how wonderful. I want you to sit in gratitude for the fact that you have a job that can pay your bills while you're building your coaching business. How wonderful that you're making income at the same time that you're building a huge business that can then carry you for the rest of your life. And that shift of seeing your full-time job as a blessing versus a roadblock to your success with coaching can be huge. It's the difference between people who stick around and people that don't. And so choosing to see yourself as someone with a blessing of income versus a roadblock stopping you from greatness is just another choice when it comes to the line. So let's get into this line that I keep referencing. If you've been living under a rock and you aren't aware, Optavia has what's called the 6 habits of transformational leadership. And they are amazing tenets to live by. It's not just a business mantra or, a coaching. This is life. And hands down, this habit has become a part of my everyday life in business, with friends, family, with my kids, and most importantly, with myself. And that habit is we take responsibility, we play above the line. So I want to share a quick visual. Can someone comment if you can see that? Because you know how I get paranoid. Okay, good. Good. So, all right. So here we have above and below the line thinking. So the line really represents a neutral ground, the line in the middle, the blue and the yellow. And when anything happens in our life, we can have a thought, right? And then we have a choice. And in that moment, we can make any of several choices. And some of the choices will be below and some will be above. So the choices that are below the line will strip you of an opportunity to learn from your mistakes. And those behaviors are like making excuses, denial, quitting, finding fault. The blame game is probably the biggest one. So just know at one time or another, we have all chosen a behavior that's below the line, and probably daily, and that's okay. Each time we allow ourselves to dip, we become a victim. And a victim is someone who is not in control of their outcomes. Life is just kind of happening to the victim. And this person's always kind of dealing with something or coping with something. And they really refuse to take ownership for kind of the life that they're creating that they're not so happy with. And the behaviors above the line, those demonstrate a responsible mindset. So they really allow you to learn from mistakes. And some of the behaviors that you'll see above the line are, acknowledging that you've made a mistake, taking responsibility and ownership for your actions, seeking solutions versus problems. That's a big one. Finding opportunities for growth and seeing obstacles as growth. And really embracing awareness. So, people who function above the line are very much in control of their lives. They handle situations, they see mistakes as learning opportunities for growth and improvement. And usually they, exude some level of humility. They are able to develop a lot of trusting relationships, which I know that's like the most important thing to me. I want to be seen for who I know my true self is, which is a trustworthy, individual. So take a screenshot of this because I am going to close it out in a second. So take a screenshot. I'll also post it in the group, but ask yourself truly, where do you want to live? Where do you want to live? And the beautiful thing that this is completely up to us. The choice is yours every single day, every single moment. You get to choose, and not much in life can feel like a choice. A lot of times things in life feel like they're happening to us, but I am here to tell you, we are not victims of this. We are completely in charge. So, I read all of your responses and comments to Jamil's post yesterday in the boot camp when he posed the question about limiting beliefs and chatter and can'ts. And I really, first I want to thank you just for your vulnerability and your honest responses. But holy cow, can I be honest? It was really painful to read. Really, really painful. One, because it kind of took me to a time and a place when I believed a lot of that stuff about me. And that, is not a good thing to feel and sit in. But mostly, I just hate that so many of you are telling yourself these lies about yourself. While reading it, I heard you say, that you feel unworthy. You feel incapable. You feel too old, too young, too busy, desperate, not good enough, inadequate, not worthy. And I think the saddest of all was so many of you feel undeserving. And, I don't know many of you outside of your comments on Facebook, but it literally took my breath away and made me tear up. So let me tell you this, though, even in the case, and I don't think it is, but even in the case that all of those things that you guys think are true, the only question you should care about is this, does believing in those theories empower you? Does believing that empower you? Could believing in above the line thinking maybe improve the quality of your life? And something that I did was, even if I didn't believe it was true yet, I acted like it was. I totally pretended. We call that acting as if. And it's okay. It's not lying to yourself, it's reminding yourself. And once you act as if, after a while, you start to realize, maybe this is who I am. So we act as if until it is, guys. Essentially, I would say that all beliefs are hallucinations. So why not make up ones that serve us best? People who go through life below the line, they come up with a ton of reasons, aka excuses. And they can tell you why they're not successful. Oh, my ex-wife held me back, or my parents never supported me, or whatever, your story is. And as a result, they're always angry. They hold resentments against people, and they truly believe that they are victims who have no choice at all. And maybe it's true. Let's just pretend. Maybe it's all true, you guys. But here's the thing. You can either be right or you can be happy. And so what are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? I would say the biggest shift in my life since I started coaching almost 6 years ago, which is nuts. It's really the way that I see and respond to others and carry myself. That is what's changed the most. Yeah, my income's changed. Yeah, my life circumstances have changed. But I think I put way more value on how I'm able to walk through life differently now. And so, you see, we hear about this line in OptiV and we say you're either playing above it or below it. And in the most black and white sense, living above the line is just owning up to your actions and behaviors and making the right choices and, biting your tongue if what you're going to say isn't necessarily helpful or loving, and generally trying to just live your best life. And now if you're below the line, that might look like maybe responding to negativity on social media in a way that's not really a good reflection of who you really are. And then blaming the other person for baiting you. Oh, well, they posted that and I had to say something. Or, well, what did you want me to do? I mean, I had to defend myself. And, I don't know, or maybe it could mean, when you're fighting with your partner, always having to have the last word in an argument. Or maybe, maybe you have a day like me where you totally take the bait when your kid talks back to you, and the next thing you know, you are having a full-on debate with a 3-year-old, because that makes sense, right? So, it's really blaming people, places, and things for whatever isn't working out in your life, and just not being reflective enough to really see your part in it. About almost 1 year ago to the dot, my life shifted dramatically when I separated from my ex-husband and became the sole caretaker of my 2 kids. And, I knew I had 2 choices. I could either crumble and fall into victimhood real fast, or I could choose to push forward and kind of just figure out how to be a kick-ass single mom. And did I grieve? Of course. Did I struggle every single day? But, did I stop supporting my clients? Did I disappear from my coach chats when people needed me? Did I tell leadership team, I quit, life is hard, I'm out, guys, peace? No. You guys didn't even have a clue what was going on in my house until I chose to start sharing what happened. And when I did choose to do that, I was very, very mindful about how I did that and how I shared that, because I wanted to be respectful to my ex-husband. And, the internet's forever. So I also think about, what my kids are going to see someday, because the internet's forever, guys. So I was very thoughtful about, how much was I really going to reveal? And if I was going to share, there was always intention behind it. And I wanted to share in a way that I thought would be benefit to others who might be going through what I was going through. I wasn't using it as a platform to vent or to make people feel sorry for me. And meanwhile, my daily actions, business-wise, never changed. And my goals didn't change. In fact, my goals got bigger. Despite my work hours being significantly less and my emotional load being much heavier, I really just chose to let the pain of everything just kind of push me. And I chose to level up. My kids do not need a mom who lives in victimhood and waits for someone else to save her. My kids really need a mom who is, just always finding better ways, who's trying to be self-aware enough to, I say sorry to them all the time, when I mess up, when I need to. I can cry with them. I can also hold space for them when they're having big feelings. And I didn't realize it at the time, but honestly, I think my first lesson in this whole living above the line thing, before we even verbalized living above the line, was the day before I had my Facebook launch. And so a lot of you have had that day too. There's lots of planning and feelings and excitement and nervousness. And I will tell you, before becoming a health coach, I used Facebook as my virtual dumping ground. Every complaint went on my wall. I didn't think first, I posted first. I rambled. I didn't care whose feelings were hurt. In fact, I hoped that you would weed yourself out if you didn't like my posts. I didn't care who I hurt or offended in the process. And it sucks to even say that out loud, but it's true. And I remember my mentor coach, you may know him, his name is Jamil Frazier. And he was able to speak to me in a very real way because we've known each other since we were kids. And so I remember him suggesting that I minimize the amount of, political posts, divisive content, and kind of just general brashness that I was currently operating in. And I have to say, it made me super frustrated. I literally felt like someone was taking away, like yanking my security blanket away. It was like that crappy friend that we all have that we know we need to dump because they're just not giving us anything worthwhile, but we've been friends with them for so long, we don't want to let them go. And I remember just feeling like, but this is me, if I stop, then who am I? How else am I supposed to, educate people or change people's way of thinking? So, needless to say, it hasn't been a straight line. It hasn't always been perfect. And through trial and error, I've really learned that I can make a way bigger impact on the world through love and positivity, than I ever could in the way that I was operating before. And unfortunately, I've had to have many tough lessons in this because that's how I learn. I'm not someone who usually listens the first time. I have to do it my way and fall on my face, and then I learn. I've nearly lost friends over this, and I realized that my purpose is much bigger than a post on Facebook. And so, now am I saying that I no longer have an opinion about things or I don't care about the same things anymore? No, but I know now actually how to make change versus just talking about it. I could put my money where my mouth is. I can donate to organizations and causes that I'm passionate about. And I can bring far greater change that way versus ranting and raving on the internet. So I feel like that's kind of how below the line-ness can rear itself with coaches. And so I definitely wanted to bring that up. And, little did I know that changing the tone of my Facebook persona was going to start spilling over into my day-to-day life. So today I'm mindful, not only of obviously what I post on social media, but how I speak to people and how I respond to things that happen during my day. I am always trying to be really mindful of the line, and that's going to allow you guys to have so much power over your lives. So I really encourage you all to start noticing that line throughout your days and just starting now. And please know that, this isn't black or white. It's not perfect or messing up. Existing above the line isn't something anyone can do 100% of the time. Even if our actions are outside, like maybe our outside actions are on point, right? Like our behavior to the outside world is great. Sometimes our thoughts start to dip. And I remember feeling like a fraud after this concept was introduced, because every so often I would catch something nasty, sneaking its way into my thoughts or my conversations or my interactions with people. And even though I was actively trying to practice this principle, I felt really out of alignment with what I feel is my true nature, which all of us, our true nature is loving and caring and good. But because of one lingering bad habit, I was starting to feel out of alignment. And that habit is judgment. And so that's something I really, really, really want to address today. So I will tell you that my judgmental nature has been blocking me for years from the good that I know that I have within me. And I know that you guys have it within yourselves too. And that behavior usually starts innocently enough at first, but it always left me feeling really sad and disconnected. And judgment was really draining my happiness. And honestly, it was reinforcing that part of me that always felt like I didn't belong and I couldn't connect with other people. And everyone's different, but for me, it even manifested physically. So I would often get a lot of tension headaches. I would be drained. I get this neck pain thing. And so I decided that I really needed to take a close look at what I was thinking, what I was saying, and what I was doing. And I decided that I would be a witness to my behavior through a very loving lens. And I came to realize that judgment was the cause, 100% of the disconnects for many, many years in my life. And, even minor things, maybe, they might seem like insignificant moments of judgment, but they were blocking me from my greatest superpower, which is the capacity to love and really sit in my power. There's a saying in the book, A Course in Miracles, and it says, the ego cannot survive without judgment. The ego seeks to divide and separate. Spirit seeks to unify and heal. And that really, really resonates with me. So, if judgment makes us feel separate and compassion makes us feel whole, then why do we spend so much time in judgment? And I think partly it's the world that we live in. So much pop culture and media puts such a huge, just a huge value on status, on looks, on material wealth, and we are constantly made to feel less than. And so what do? We use judgment to avoid feeling inadequate and insecure. And it can be, it's way easier to make fun of someone for a perceived weakness than to really look at our own sense of lack. I think that, oneness is really our true nature. And when we're in tune with feeling that oneness other than judgment, separation goes away and connection to love can totally be restored. And so after witnessing how judgment was really weakening my own power, I decided to really focus on changing it. And it was hard, and I felt every single day. But really quickly, I started to notice things changing. Really, really quickly. People were coming to me that I had wanted to connect with. My personal relationships were growing stronger than ever. And even my headaches and my neck pain were starting to get better. So you know, what was happening was the less time I was spending on judgment, it cleared up more space for love. And in some ways, I would say releasing judgment, it can feel like letting go, like I was saying, of a friend that you know deep down is not good for you, you know, and even though you know that it's time to move on and let go, you feel a sense of sadness and loss, and it can even feel disorienting. You know, it can be scary to fully let go of judgment. And that's how I felt when I was instructed to cut it out. I felt really scared. I didn't know a life without judgment. And so, you know, when anything becomes a pattern that we've come to rely on, it's tough to let go. So this isn't a process that is always super comfortable, but I promise you it's worth it on the other side, because using judgment to avoid feelings of our own insecurity, our own lack, our own, you know, self-worth and inadequacy. So instead of addressing those feelings, all we're doing is looking at the perceived shortcomings of others. So much easier, right? It's so much easier to pick on someone else and what they're not doing so that we don't have to face our own pain. But the thing is, we all know that this is just temporary. And at the end of the day, we're still left with our own crap. And then, you know, to make matters worse, we often are left feeling super guilty for judging others, or at least I was. Do you guys feel like you struggle with judgment? Please tell me I'm not the only one. So judgment can show up in a ton of different ways. You know, for instance, anytime you think another person is your source of happiness or pain, you're in judgment. Often judgment can show up as jealousy, comparison, envy. Is this sparking you? Judgment can be sneaky, guys. It presents itself totally as justification as to why you believe why someone has wronged you. But this is, again, it just keeps us in the illusion that we are separate from other people. So, you know, I'll ask you this. Have you ever been in a social setting and you're around someone who immediately just like rubs you the wrong way? And there's not really a reason, but you start to try to find a reason, right? So maybe you feel like they're too loud or they're talking too much. And maybe you start to think things like, you know, who does this person think they are? Why are they speaking so loudly? You know, I have been in situations many times where I just feel triggered by someone around me. And I don't know why exactly, but I just want to run. And what I've come to learn is that all it takes is me kind of finding like a sliver of knowing their heart, and that can really change my perception about them. So whether it's, you know, maybe they grew up in a dysfunctional household like me, or maybe they're also a single parent and have gone through similar struggles as I have, suddenly that gives me the opportunity to connect and have empathy. And why? It's because in that moment of realization, all that separation goes away and you'll realize yourself in that person. You know, their attention-seeking behavior is my attention-seeking behavior. Their need to be seen is my need to be seen. So as soon as we can kind of recognize ourselves and other people, all of those boundaries will dissolve. Yogi Bhajan is a yogi and a spiritual teacher who I really respect and look up to. And what he says is, recognize the other person as you. What you judge in others is a reflection of what you judge in yourself, whereas what you love in others is a reflection of your light. So good. So good. So what I would like to do next is really give you guys some practical tools to really work on the practice of letting go of a lot of this judgment that's holding you back from greatness, because that's exactly what it's doing. It's keeping you stuck in quicksand. So, you know, it's this judgment that is causing us to dip below the line every day. And in order to be our best selves, if that's what you want to do, we really need to start keeping a daily inventory of these dips and bringing ourselves up just a little bit faster. Because I can't stress enough, the dipping is never going to go away, but we are going to have moments where we dip and actually focusing on that actively for the past year, I dip way less often. And when I do, I know that I'm dipping, and it only takes moments to get my butt back over the line again. Whereas before, it might take weeks for me to even recognize my part in something, because that's how stubborn and stuck in judgment that I was. I felt completely justified for how I was responding to that person. And I could tell you, I could write a thesis on why it was okay for me to be judging that person. And so the amount of time wasted on justifying my judgment was such a waste of time. And so it's something that we all need to really take ownership of and recognize, and just start working on it. So, okay. So are you guys ready? Step 1. This is what I want you to do. I want you to witness your judgment without judgment. So I want you guys to really rate your daily level of judgment on a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 being the highest. Okay, so seeing that you're maybe operating at an 8 or 9, it's going to be really great. It's going to be a really, really good way for you to see how judgment may be holding you back. And so first, you just need to witness it. That's just the first step. We don't even need to do anything yet, guys. We just need to witness it. Because the way out of judgment begins when you're able to witness your judgment without more judgment. We don't need more. We don't need to have guilt and judgment of ourselves for judging. It's too much. So just be aware that you will be tempted to criticize yourself for it. You're going to feel shame for it. But instead of doing that, please, please, please just honor the fact that you are even willing to look at this from an above the line state of mind. Most people don't even know what the line is, guys. And you're already, you know what above the line is. You know that you want it. And so that's good enough. Okay. So no matter what choices you've ever made in the past, this is not time to feel bad about it. So I want to do an inventory right now. Okay. So take a moment right now, and I want you to rate your daily judgment. Like I said, between 1 and 10. 1 is near perfect. And so I don't think any of us should be there. Get honest. The best way to measure your level of judgment is I think it's by checking in how you feel. So the more uncomfortable you feel when you think a judgmental thought, the higher the rating. So sit with that for a minute. Feel it. Oh, you're sharing. Proud of you guys. Yeah, those are those are people being real honest. Those 8s, I think those 7s and above, that's some true honesty right there. Good, 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 good. Okay, no one's listening. Unless you're sharing publicly, no one needs to know if you're uncomfortable with it. So, no one's listening to your thoughts. It's okay to be honest with yourself. Okay. Oh, I'm loving all of this. Good job, guys. So the next thing is I want you to write down just little bullet points, whatever's popping up. How does your judgmental nature make you feel? How does it make you feel physically? Does it make you feel guilt or shame? Okay. Can you guys feel how that is holding you in a place of negativity and separating you from others? Can you feel that? Because that's what really struck me when I took the time to really examine this. Like razors in my system. Yeah, it can be painful. As long as you're not judging that, that's fine. So, taking an honest look at how judgment is really bringing you down, it's only going to strengthen your guys' desire to rise up. So don't be scared to do this. Just do it. Okay? So step 1's the hardest. It's almost like when you go to AA and you're like, all right, I admit I'm powerless over drugs and alcohol. That's the hardest thing, but you've admitted it. Okay, so step 2, I want you to forgive the thought. Okay, let yourself off the hook. Please hear me when I say this. Fear and judgment is just the below the line version of yourself that's asking for help. Okay, so when we're in physical pain, you know that physical pain is calling for relief, right? You don't judge the fact that you need an ice pack or a Tylenol. And the same goes for judgment. It's really just a form of emotional pain that you want to relieve. Okay, you do not want to remain sad and sick. You want to be free. We all want to be free. So witness your judgment without judgment. Accept that you've chosen fear and be open to receive the help that you are calling for. And if you want to be free from it, just forgive yourself for having the thought first, and then just forgive the thought altogether. Okay? Know that this didn't come from who you really are. Did you know that? That's not who you really are. These thoughts are not who you really are. So honor your judgmental self. Give it a little squeeze. And remember that you're trying to grow every single day. Don't hold on to it. Don't replay it. Something that I've learned that really works for me is a little prayer or saying that essentially says, I recognize that I've chosen wrongly. I forgive this thought and I choose again. I choose love. So I'll say that one more time because it's so simple, but it's so powerful and it works so well for me every single day. So I recognize that I've chosen wrongly. I forgive this thought and I choose again. I choose love. It's honestly just that simple, and it will pop me right back above the line when I dip. So please use that if you think that that's helpful for you as well. Step 3, I want you to see for the first time. We really begin to heal our judgments about others when we accept that people are our teachers in life. So make a commitment to look at things differently. Watch how you may continue to drag the past into the present moment, and then just choose again. It's honestly that simple. It's not complicated. No beating yourselves up, no getting below the line about your thoughts. We can choose to look at a person, place, or thing as if we're seeing it for the first time. So imagine how free you would be if you didn't bring your past with you into your relationships. So your mantra or reminder for that can be, I want to see this person for the first time. It works really well when maybe someone triggers you, or there's someone you're just not, they're not your favorite person in the world to be around. Just ask yourself, I really want to see this person for the first time. See him with new eyes, and when you're practicing seeing someone for the first time, you are able to release them from the false stuff that you've put on them and what you think divides you. And so instead of seeing others through this lens of your past and your crap, you see them as someone who's also calling out for love. And I know that in Optavia, we talk so much about feeling loved by one another and that this is our chosen family. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. I think our biggest mission here on this planet and through Optavia is just to love others and to love ourselves fully. But in order to do this, we really need to actively choose to resist judgment and to restore connections with each other and just shine our light. Okay, and the last step 4. So step 4, it's not complicated. It kind of varies based on your belief system. So find what works for you. So whether that's prayer, meditation, journaling, reflecting, maybe it's listening to music that kind of puts you in a spiritual state of mind. I just want you guys to take a moment every single day to really celebrate your connectedness to the universe, to yourself, and to others, because in the muck of life, we tend to just be disconnected and float around. And it's really, really important that we ground ourselves every single day. And every time you release judgment and return to love, promise, you can expect miracles. So like I said, practice this every day if it's possible. It's going to take time. It's taken me a full year of conscious work, and I did it selfishly for me and my kids. so that I could keep myself in a mentally good place for them when I felt like my reality was just crashing in on me. And what I didn't know was that it was going to spill over into my business and all other things. So be careful what you wish for, guys, because amazing things are going to happen. Promise. So in closing, I just want to tell you guys this, and hopefully, I want you all to remember that the chatter that you have, all of those of you that shared on the post about the chatter and the thoughts that aren't serving you, all of that is an illusion. It is not reality. We make up our story every single day. We make up this crap that isn't really us. And so I really challenge you to make up stories that actually serve you and move you forward versus keeping you stuck in this quicksand. We all have infinite potential, every single one of us. I'm not special. We are all special. And so, but we have to make the decision every single day, sometimes moment by moment, to keep ourselves from falling into blame and victimhood. So I want you guys to just, exercise your above the line muscles every single day. It's going to get stronger like any other muscle in your body. Your brain is a muscle too. And so let's just strengthen those every single day, one day at a time, and just watch the miracles happen. All right. Love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we have Jan Paxman coming for more mindset stuff. So that's going to be incredible. And then moving into next week, Kim Fisk will be joining us, and we'll be getting more into skill sets and stuff like that. So thank you all for just being on and for giving yourself the beauty of this 46 minutes. All right, guys, love you.